Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of Ryan Coogler's brand new period supernatural adventure drama, dare I say musical, Sinners, with stars Michael B. Jordan in dual roles. He plays twinsies, and this is a period film that is set in the 1930s Delta, Mississippi. And this is something that's close to my heart because where this film is set and where it was actually filmed are deeply connected to me. This was filmed down here in Louisiana, and it was set in the Delta of Mississippi, where my parents are from. And to be more exact, the town where this is set in is the town right next to the town that my parents lived when they were youngins up there. And so it's deeply rooted in me. This film, along with Michael B. Jordan in his two roles, he still has enough he still has enough grace to allow other actors to grace the screen, such as Stanfield, Wame Musoka, Jack O'Connor, Omar Miller, and Delroy Lindo. In this film is the introduction, his first film, Miles Canton, in his first appearance on the big screen. I am so taken aback by this film. I am so blown away by the sheer artistry of this film. This movie blew me away. This is arguably the best film I've seen in 2 to 3 years. I probably can go deeper than that, but I didn't want to stretch my brain too far. But this was a tour de force by Ryan Coogler in an age of, movie going where we're just beaten over the head with comic book movies, which I love, by the way, um, as well as sequels and reboots. It's rare that we get something original and it's actually this good. We always cry for original. We're tired of seeing superheroes. We're tired of seeing remakes. We're tired of seeing the same old tropes. Okay, well, Ryan Coogler said, hold my beer. Here you go. And this is just super original, different take on the supernatural films that we know and love, and puts his own personal twist to it. Ryan Coogler is 5 for 5, in my humble opinion. He has knocked every film that he has made out of the park. I love every film that he has made, even Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And that's probably his weakest, but it was still good. And because when you think about the obstacles and the hurdles he had to jump over to get that film made, it is nothing short of a miracle. And he pulled it off. It wasn't the greatest. It definitely wasn't the first Black Panther, but it was still decent. Fruitville Station, Creed, Black Panther. He is one of these filmmakers who I would put up there in the upper echelons of Spielberg and Zemeckis and Nolan and all of them, because I love all of their films. And so far, I've loved all of Ryan Coogler films. And this one is probably my favorite. And, it's crazy because I just recently watched the first Black Panther. And it dawned on me on that rewatch that is my favorite comic book adaptation. That is my favorite comic book movie. It's so personal to me, and I love it so much. And it hit every emotion that I wanted. I didn't think he could duplicate that or exceed that. I'm not prepared to say he exceeded Black Panther in that achievement, but it's close. Sinners is close. Sinners takes this story that is it can easily be formulaic, but it didn't go that route. The ways that you think it's gonna go, it doesn't go. You know, viewing it as a horror film lover and thinking of the typical by paint by numbers horror tropes that come with horror films, it's none of that there. But this is a true horror film when it gets to the horror, and it's not horror from beginning to end. It builds. This movie is a slow build to the insanity that takes place in the climax. I was truly invested in the crowd that I saw it with were just pinned to their seats with this story. I mean, it goes so deep into these characters. And I don't understand how he does this. These it's things that, and I'll say I'm talking about Ryan Coogler. You watch movies and you're like, man, I wish they would get to the point, or man, they're taking too long with this development, or getting to the story, or getting to the next stage of this story. He really puts it together and paces his films in a fashion, and especially in Sinners, that we're not taking too long in certain moments and we're not shortchanging. It's that perfect stopping point that he uses in every single scene. Unbelievable. This is a tour de force. This is his opus. I am so impressed. I was already a Ryan Coogler guy. I was already a fan. I consider myself a super fan after this film. This film, it touched me, and I didn't think this movie would touch me. You know, I mean, on an emotional level, it really got me thinking. And like I said to start off the show, yes, there's some deep rooted factors that go into this, you know, with the hometown elements and the Mississippi connections that I have to it all. It was all there, so that probably plays a part in how I feel and how I review this film. But honestly, you take it out of that. If you set this in New York City, I probably would still feel the same. It's just that good of a film. Moving on to the cinematography, which goes hand in hand with the direction here. This is some beautiful cinematography. Uh, the DP on this film was Autumn Arkapaw, and she worked with Ryan Coogler before. I think she did Wakanda Forever with him, and you know that was decent. That had some decent cinematography, but boy, the way the camera moves here. Now this film was shot with IMAX cameras, and I was lucky enough to see it in IMAX, so that was a plus. But the scale and the beauty, the tone of the film, it was just shot excellently. It was beautiful to watch. It was like watching. It was like walking through a museum, and all of the pictures were in motion or something. You know, it was just art. This is art. You can put this in the Louvre. You know, it was that beautiful of cinematography. Some of the best I've seen in a long time. The score, Ludwig Garrison. And I hope I'm saying his last name right. He is a longtime collaborator with Ryan Coogler as well. Also does a lot of work with Christopher Nolan recently. But the music is a character within itself in this film. It's almost the main character of this film, and the music that plays throughout will just hook you and actually tell a story of his own, you know. And that's what scores are supposed to do. Scores are supposed to assist in the storytelling, and it does here. This the music is a main character in this film, and it plays a major role. And if the music didn't work, the film wouldn't have worked. So it it definitely hit all, no pun intended, hit all the right notes in that area. Moving over to our cast. What a cast. I'm gonna get to Michael B. Jordan last. I'm gonna save him for last. But Haley Steinfeld, best I've seen her in anything. This is probably the best role I've seen her in. I'm a fan of her. Uh, from Hawkeye to Bumblebee, and so on and so forth. She is a really good actress, nice young actress. Here, she grew up. She's a woman. She's a woman now, and she nailed this role. Nailed it. I mean, walked up to the plate and knocked it clean out of the park. It was, I mean, man, I was really shocked. My mouth was wide open, like, well, all right, Haley, I see you, girl. Awesome job. Jack O'Connell as the villain in this film. Whew. I've seen Jack O'Connell in maybe one other movie, maybe two other films. Uh, he was good, but he was great in here. He actually dove into this. You could tell he really dove all in on this role. Chewed up every bit of scenery that was in. Once again, no pun intended, and almost stole the movie. He stole every scene that he was in for certain. He was owning this character. It was also good to see Delroy Lindo in this film. Delroy Lindo is a actor who I've admired for many years. Good to see him get a little shine in this film, and he is the comic relief, if you will, of this movie. And you wouldn't expect it from Delroy Lindo. He's like the most seasoned actor of the cast, and he was the silly one, in but not dumb silly. You know what I'm saying? He's not silly intentionally. He was just, that was just him. You know, he's just a silly guy with some of the comments that he'll make, or a line or two that's thrown in there to kind of break the levity. And I, I mean, it's Delroy Lindo. Of course, he does an excellent job. Newcomer Miles Canton, who has never acted before. This is his first role. I believe he's an actual singer. He's an actual blues singer. If my research is right, but he did an excellent job. I was like, man, have I seen him in something before? Was he in something before? Because he was that good. He was like a good seasoned actor, going toe to toe, sharing scenes with Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo and the rest of the cast. And I'm like, okay, I see you. But this was his first role. Awesome job by him. And that leads us to our star, or should I say stars, of this film, Michael B. Jordan. Absolutely best Michael B. Jordan I have ever seen. And I'm not speaking in hyperbole. This is my honest opinion. I've thought about this ever since I walked out the theater. Best Michael B. Jordan, hands down. I'm sorry. And him as Killmonger in Black Panther was number one. This overtakes that. Maybe there's a slight advantage because he's playing two roles there. So that could be the deciding factor. But what makes his performance so excellent here, both characters, both of those twin brothers that he's playing, have different personalities. You know that is Michael B. Jordan, but at the same time, they're two different people. They felt like two different people. At one point in the movie, I'm sitting there and I'm like, do Michael B. Jordan actually have a twin? Do we have Michael A. Jordan playing the other one? I mean, because they were so different from one another, and he played them so differently. My knock with Michael B. Jordan, who I enjoy in movies, but I never consider him, a movie star, is that he plays the same role. I always see the same character in every movie, and it drives me nuts when actors are like that. And they're, no matter what the movie is, they're the same. But he really did different here for both characters, and I've never seen either one of these portrayals in a movie before from him. So he really dove into this and did an amazing, I mean, a super amazing job at acting here. I'm so impressed with his performance. And as far as the film itself, I don't want to really spoil the movie. And the reason being, and I'm not saying spoil the movie like tell you what happened at the end. I mean tell you what the story is, because you need to see it for yourself. I hate that second trailer. If you haven't watched the second trailer for Sinners, don't watch it. Just go see the movie. Don't be spoiled. I didn't watch the second trailer, but I heard a lot of people say that it tells a lot of the story. So that's why never watched it. And I'm glad I didn't, because I was, I ain't gonna say surprised, because I kind of knew what the film was about, but I didn't want to know nothing. I wanted to go into this fresh, with clean eyes, and experience it for the first time. So if you haven't seen it, don't watch it until you've seen this movie. But all I'll say, as far as my part of it, is I like that element. I like the supernatural element that is a part of this film. You can take that out of it, and it would still be an excellent movie. But the fact that you add in this supernatural element that's there, it just heightens it to another level. And it really brings a deeper impact to the story that's being told. Uh, I mean, it was genius, man. It's almost like, man, are we dumb? Or are the filmmakers in Hollywood dumb? How they haven't figured this out? Why they never did anything like this before? It seems like it was a no-brainer, but uh, Ryan Coogler beat him to the punch and delivered, I would say, the most original, the most horrifying, and emotional film, all wrapped up in one for your viewing enjoyment. I am just floored by this film. Now, I do have one knock on this film. It's, I got to be honest with you. It is one part of this movie that I didn't too much care for, and that was the end. The end of the movie. Now, once again, when you go see this movie, don't get up and leave when the credits start rolling, because there is a post-credit scene, or a mid-credit scene, I should say. And it's a long sequence. It's like a 5-minute scene. I'm like, why don't they just put it in the movie? But it wraps up the story pretty nicely. But that's not the part I'm talking about. It's the climax at the end of the film. It was satisfying. It was satisfying, but it felt kind of, I don't know. It just felt kind of out of nowhere, if that makes any sense. And I'm trying to talk around it, but it's just, it just didn't have the pop that I wanted. But it was satisfying. It was earned. It wasn't like it was, this ex machina thing comes out of nowhere and saves everybody. It's nothing like that at all. But it was just kind of abrupt. And I was like, oh, maybe it's just me wanting more out of that ending. But the ending was good. I just wanted a little more there. But aside from that, that's it. That's it. That's my only quote unquote gripe about the movie. This movie is perfect in my eyes. It's perfect. This is a masterpiece from the great Ryan Coogler. Sinners gets a letter grade of an A+. I'm sorry. I cannot knock this movie. This was a perfect film. I can't wait to go back to see it. I am going back to see it again, hands down, this weekend. This weekend, probably multiple times. I mean, that's how much of a good time I had watching this movie. It is not a boring, when you hear period movie, you probably be like, oh man, I don't want to see an old Jim Crow style movie. But trust me when I say, this isn't your dad's Jim Crow era style movie. This is a very entertaining film to come out on Easter weekend. Nothing screams the resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ in sinners. So it is it's right on time. And you know the funny part about it, at my screening that I went to, waiting to go in, and a priest came in. And so he watched the movie too. And I'm like, boy, I told the woman standing next to me, I was like, boy, there's gonna be a fire sermon come Sunday when after he sees this movie. But yeah, it appeals to everyone, and I'm pretty sure he enjoyed it as well. Let me know if you plan on checking out Sinners this opening weekend. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also contact the show on social media, all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Sinners. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.